Are you overwhelmed about the thought of baby-led weaning? Have you heard it's a really good method, but you are worried about potential choking hazards or certain nutritional deficiencies? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you the essential information that every parent needs so that you can make the correct weaning decision for you and your baby. Baby-led weaning is a method of introducing solids to infants 6 months upwards, where you skip the puree stage and you go directly to offering them finger foods that they can feed to themselves. This method of weaning has some incredible benefits, including that your baby can explore new tastes and foods at their own pace independently. They also are more likely to eat what you're eating because you're going to be cooking food that you can easily have them share with you. They also get to practice key skills like gross and fine motor skills. Just playing with the food, picking it up, bringing it to their mouth is all good for them developmentally. This method allows babies to learn how to chew and eat solid food safely. It gives them plenty of practice that they can learn how to manage this new food that they're being offered in a safe and unpressurized way. You can also include them in family meal times more easily if they're eating what you're eating. And this is really beneficial for them, for their social development, and also for them to have enjoyable experience around food because they're interacting with you at the same time. And economically, it's definitely a good move because you're not having to buy expensive jars and pouches. You're not blending the food, so you don't need a blender. You're giving them solid foods, very often what you are eating, what you've prepared either before or for that meal. And so that does save you some money. Finally, babies that have been exposed to baby-led weaning tend to be less fussy with their food as they grow older. And some research suggests that they monitor their appetite more closely because they're in control of it. And this reduces the risk of obesity later on in life. So as you can see, there are lots of reasons why baby-led weaning is a really good way to go. But it's also important that you know whether your baby is ready to be baby-led weaned. Although it is recommended that baby-led weaning should not start until your baby is at least 6 months old, they need to have reached certain developmental milestones before you can even consider starting this weaning process. So let's go through what they are. I would say a rule of thumb is that babies need to be 6 months or older before you can start them on the baby-led weaning program. This is because by that age they should be able to sit upright, hold their head upright, and be comfortable in a sitting position long enough to eat a meal. It's important that your baby can be upright because they must not be slanting or reclining at all when they're being fed. The next developmental milestone, so to speak, that you need to look for is, can they have a pincer grip and can they pick up items and bring them to their mouth? So if you can see them picking up toys, and infants of that age are always bringing things to their mouth, that's what they do naturally, then they're obviously going to be able to do that with the food. So you need to make sure that they are able to actually physically do that to feed themselves. Otherwise, they're going to just get frustrated. Another good indicator is them showing interest in food. So if they're watching you eat food, if when they're sitting on your lap and you've got food in front of you, maybe they're reaching out for it already, and they're probably watching you really closely, like watching every mouthful that goes into your mouth. That's a good indicator that they are aware that this food exists and that they're showing a really lively interest in it. The last thing you need to look out for is, have they lost the tongue thrust reflex? The tongue thrust reflex is there to enable your baby to suck, breathe, and not choke. And all babies have it. And they tend to lose it around the age of 6 months. Now, to find out if your baby has still got this reflex or not, you can put either an empty spoon, a small silicone spoon, into their mouth, or even put a little bit of formula or breast milk on it. And if you place it in their mouth and their tongue comes out and pushes the spoon away, then they've still got that reflex. Therefore, it's probably easier to wait until that reflex has gone before you offer them solid foods, because then they will find it easier to take the solid food to the back of their mouth and to chew it properly and swallow it. If you are unsure about any aspect of whether your little one is ready to be weaned, then just consult your paediatrician. They'll give you really good advice and tell you exactly when is the safest and the most appropriate time for your baby to start solids. So we've talked about your baby being ready, but you also need to be ready for this big step. I appreciate that putting your baby onto solids is a really big developmental step. It's a huge step for you. But remember that you're not taking your baby off the breast or the bottle at this point. You're just introducing new foods. But there are other things that you need to take into consideration as a parent to be ready for your baby to make this big step. First of all, you'll need to be prepared mentally for the mess, because it is a messy business. And that is why it's essential that you have the right kit in place before you start on your baby-led weaning journey. Now, quite naturally, a lot of parents have concerns about choking when they offer their little ones solid foods. So if you're feeling particularly anxious about that, then I would suggest that you take a paediatric CPR course. You will then have all the skills to deal with a choking incident. Now, research suggests that babies that are fed with baby-led weaning are not more likely to choke than babies that follow more conventional methods. And in my research, I came across 2 particularly good articles that make this very clear, and I've put a link in the description box below so that you can continue your own research just to allay any fears that you might have. I'd also like to mention at this point that if you're considering baby-led weaning, you do not have to do that exclusively. It doesn't mean that you cannot do it in combination with spoon feeding, that you can also offer purees. Baby-led weaning is a form of weaning that can be built into a combination method. It's all about what you feel comfortable with. And the most important thing is that you educate yourself about the different styles of weaning and go with the one that feels right for you and for your baby. So finally, before we finish, I'd like to talk about the BLISS method of weaning. And is BLISS the same as baby-led weaning? So BLISS stands for Baby-Led Introduction to Solids. So in essence, it is the same as baby-led weaning, but it addresses the concerns of choking and zinc and iron deficiency in babies that are being baby-led weaned. The BLISS study proved that baby-led weaning is safe, providing it is practiced correctly. And this included offering an iron-rich and an energy-rich food at every meal, and making sure that you were paying attention to your baby, sitting with them, preferably facing them during the whole of the mealtime. So there you have it, all the essential information about baby-led weaning. And no matter what you decide is the right weaning route for you and your baby, I can say that I feel baby-led weaning is a really great way to ensure that your baby thrives and has a healthy relationship with food from the start. Now, don't forget to take a look at those research articles that are in the description box below. They've got some really, really important information in there that makes sure that you're really well informed about your decision moving forward. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if there's any topics that you'd like me to cover in the future, please let me know. Thank you for listening.